I knew something was wrong when my stepmother's voice hit that careful, sweetened pitch she only used when she was about to stab me in the back. "Oh, sweetheart," she crooned, drawing out the words like a cat stretching before the kill. "I was just about to call you." No, she wasn't. Nobody is ever just about to call when they let a text sit for 3 days. But I played along, oh yeah. Yes, she sighed dramatically, like she was so exhausted by the weight of her own generosity. "I was actually calling to let you know that, well, your father and I are keeping things intimate this year." It was almost comical how predictable she was. I could hear her rearranging decorative cushions in the background, pretending like she wasn't about to ruin my day. "Intimate," I repeated. "Yes," she said gently, patronizingly. "Just blood family, you understand. Blood family." I pressed my lips together so hard they went numb. She always did this. Always found a way to remind me, subtly, gently, devastatingly, that I wasn't true family. That no matter how much I gave, no matter how much I bled for them, I was always going to be the outsider looking in. I was adopted, raised as their charity case, while my real sister Emma got the golden child treatment. And for years, I convinced myself it was in my head that I was just being sensitive, that my stepmother loved me. She just had a complicated way of showing it. But that illusion cracked the day she said those 4 words. "We'd love them more." I swear my vision went white. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice suddenly calm. Too calm. "Who exactly do you love more?" Mom sighed, like she was so tired of having to explain something so obvious. "Emma's children," she said simply. "We've had a connection with them since birth. You understand, don't you?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because I knew what was about to happen next. She was going to steamroll over me with some syrupy explanation. Tell me how my boys, my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old, were so full of energy. How my parents were just too old to handle them, how it was nothing personal, just logistics, but I also knew that was bullshit because Emma's children were younger than mine, and she had 3, so it wasn't about logistics. It wasn't about space. It was about me. I took a slow, steady breath, Mom, I said, forcing my voice to stay even. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, darling," she said, her voice suddenly so soft, so maternal, like she wasn't in the middle of gutting me alive. "When your furnace broke last year," I said, my tone light, conversational, "who paid for that?" Silence. "And when Dad needed that emergency medical procedure," I continued, "who covered that bill?" More silence. "And the rent, when you were short 3 months in a row?" I could hear it now. The shifting, the tightening of her jaw. "I don't see why that's relevant," she snapped. "Oh, I think it's very relevant," I said, my voice like ice. "Because I don't recall Emma wiring you a single cent. And yet somehow, she and her true family get the VIP treatment while my children aren't even worth a folding chair at the table. Now, that's not fair." "No," I cut her off. "What's not fair is that I've been paying for a family that doesn't even consider me family." And that's when I made the decision. The one that would have them screaming the next day. I don't remember hanging up. I remember staring at my phone, my stepmother's last words echoing in my head like the final nail in a coffin. "We love them more." I sat there, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter, feeling the weight of every sacrifice I had ever made for them. Every bill I covered. Every emergency I fixed. Every time I told myself, maybe next time they'll appreciate me. No, no more next times. I was done being their personal A-team. Done being the unrelated daughter, who they only remembered when they needed something. But I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. See, my parents had a very comfortable life for 2 people who constantly cried broke. Their apartment paid off, their bills covered, their fridge stocked by me, and they never once hesitated to use me like their own personal bank. Until now. Until I was no longer convenient. I opened my banking app and scrolled to the recurring payment section. Water, electricity, gas, their entire existence ran through my accounts. Not anymore. One by one I started canceling. Click no more auto pay for the utilities. Click no more grocery deliveries. Click the credit card I gave them for emergencies deactivated. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling something deep in my chest unwind for the first time in years. They didn't consider me true family. Then let's see how well their biological daughter handled things when the bills started rolling in. I set my phone down, and took a deep breath. I should have felt guilty. I should have felt something. But I didn't. I felt free. And then my phone rang.
Emma.
I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a text popped up. WTF did you just do? Oh, so they noticed fast. Good. I smiled and grabbed my keys, because I wasn't done yet. No, the real fun was just beginning. I was halfway to the supermarket when my phone exploded with calls.
Mom. Dad. Emma.
Even my father, who usually only spoke to me when something needed fixing, was calling back to back like his life depended on it. I let it ring. Then came the text. Mom, what did you do? Dad, the cable isn't working. Are you messing with the accounts? Emma, you're being a selfish little bitch. Mom and Dad have done everything for you. I almost laughed at that one, everything. The audacity of that sentence alone was enough to fuel me for another 10 years. And then, a final text from Emma. Hope you know Mom just collapsed. Oh, for fuck's sake. I pulled into a parking lot and stared at my screen. Collapsed, like, fainted from the sheer weight of accountability. I sighed and, against my better judgment, called Mom back. She answered immediately.
Honey.
What's wrong with you? I said, cutting straight to the point. Emma says you collapsed. A beat of silence, then a sniffle, then the unmistakable sound of crocodile tears being summoned on command. Oh, sweetheart, she whimpered, dragging the vowels out like a dying soap opera character. I just can't believe you would do this to us right before Christmas. There it is, I muttered, the Christmas guilt trip. I don't know what we did to deserve this, she continued, voice trembling for effect. Your father and I have always tried our best. Mom, I interrupted, gripping the steering wheel. Do you pay your own rent? Do you pay your own utilities? Oh, do you even buy your own fucking groceries? A silence, then softly, we thought you did that because you loved us. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Right, because love is measured in direct deposits. Emma said you were always jealous of her. Mom sniffled, and I never wanted to believe it, but, oh my God, I groaned. Is this seriously where we're at? I'm some kind of bitter stepsister because I expected basic respect. You don't understand, she said, her voice suddenly sharp, cutting through the victim act like a scalpel. Emma is our biological daughter. There it was, out loud, no sugarcoating, no careful dodging. I felt a strange calm settle over me, like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into place. She had always thought this way, always. I was just never supposed to hear it. Got it, I said simply. You finally said it out loud. Honey, that's not what I... No, you did, I said, shaking my head, and for once I believe you. And then, with a slow, deliberate exhale, I hung up, not just on the call, on them. The next morning I woke up to full-blown chaos. My phone had been going off all night. Voicemails, missed calls, texts piling up like unpaid bills. I ignored them all. But then I saw it. Emma, you think this is funny. Mom and Dad are freaking out. Emma, you put them in danger. You're disgusting. Emma, fix this now. I stared at the words. Put them in danger. What did the cable shutting off send my father into cardiac arrest? Was my stepmother gasping for air because the fridge stopped auto-restocking? I wasn't about to waste time on Emma's dramatics, but I was curious how fast the house of cards had collapsed. So I did what any evil, selfish, unrelated daughter would do. I drove over. When I pulled up to my parents' apartment complex, I didn't even make it to the door before I heard my stepmother wailing inside. Don't understand, Gary, nothing's working. I can't even heat lunch. I tried calling the bank, my father was shouting, and they said the account was closed.
Oh.
I smiled. I knew shutting off the utilities would cause some panic, but closing the bank account? That was my final touch. See, my parents weren't just leeching off me with bills. They were using a joint account in my name. The one I had originally set up to help them when my dad had his financial setbacks. And since it was in my name, I walked into the bank yesterday and shut that shit down immediately. Now, standing on their porch, I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. The second Mom opened the door, her face crumpled, like I had just delivered news of a tragic death. You, she choked out, eyes wide, red-rimmed. How could you do this to us? I tilted my head. Do what exactly? Her lips trembled. We have nothing. I let the silence stretch for a moment. Then I crossed my arms. Welcome to my world. Her face snapped into rage, so fast it was almost impressive. You selfish little brat, she shrieked. Your father and I are sitting in a freezing apartment with no food, no heat, and no money, and you're standing there with that smug little smirk. I held up a hand. First of all, I said, my voice calm, dangerously calm, don't you dare act like I kicked you onto the streets. I just stopped covering your luxury lifestyle. Luxury, she screeched. Yes, I said, stepping inside. Luxury, you didn't need a $400 grocery order every week. You didn't need me covering your bills while Emma waltzed in and out like a guest at a five-star resort. We thought you did it out of love. I laughed, actually laughed, a sharp, humorless thing that bounced off their pristine, fully furnished living room. Love, I repeated. That's rich coming from people who literally told me they love Emma's children more than mine. Mom flinched, but Dad, he finally spoke. You're making a mistake, he growled, stepping forward. His voice was lower, colder than I'd ever heard it. It was a threat. You think you have the upper hand now, little girl, he said, narrowing his eyes. You'll regret this. Just wait until you need something from us. I smiled. That's the best part, I said, tilting my head. I never will. And with that, I turned and walked right out the door. But I wasn't done yet. No, the real revenge that was still coming. I wasn't planning on going nuclear. At first, all I wanted was basic respect, for them to realize they couldn't treat me like a disposable ATM and still expect loyalty. But then my father threatened me. Just wait until you need something from us. Like he actually thought he had leverage over me, like he thought I would crawl back. And that's when I decided they weren't just going to feel the loss of my money, they were going to feel the loss of me. So I made a call to my parents' property manager. See, while they liked to pretend their apartment was paid off, the truth was a little messy. They had refinanced years ago, blew through the money, and were now barely holding on to the place. The only reason they weren't in foreclosure. I had been paying the difference on their rent for the past 2 years. And I had receipts. So I asked the property manager a simple question. If the payment suddenly stopped, how long until eviction? 30 days. I smiled, got it. Then I made another call. This time, to their credit card company. I wasn't on that account, but I knew how my parents worked. They had maxed it out, just assuming they could guilt me into bailing them out like always. So I just gave the company a little tip. Told them the primary account holders had no steady income, no ability to pay, and that if they wanted their money, they might want to act fast. Wouldn't you know it, their credit limit got slashed overnight. By the time I was done, my parents had no savings, no backup, no safety net. But the best part,
Emma.
Sweet, golden child Emma. See, Emma did not know that I had been funding Mom and Dad's entire lifestyle. She assumed they were just magically fine on their own, probably because, in her world, money just appeared when she needed it. So when Mom and Dad came knocking on her door, demanding she pick up the slack, you better believe she had a meltdown. And that's when the text started. Emma, WTF is happening? Emma, Mom and Dad are saying they're broke. Emma, why is this MY problem all of a sudden? I took my time replying, let her sweat. Then finally I sent. Because you're the biological daughter, act like it. I could practically hear her screaming through the phone. But the best was yet to come. Because in less than 24 hours, my parents would make a fatal mistake. One that would leave them screaming, in a way they never had before. I was enjoying my morning coffee when it happened. A new email. Subject urgent, account action required. I clicked it already knowing exactly what I'd see. It was a security alert, an attempt to log into my bank account from an unrecognized device. I laughed. Oh, they were getting desperate. See, my parents weren't just entitled, they were predictable. First the guilt, then the rage. And when all else failed, they stole. I knew they still had my old banking credentials saved somewhere. I had changed them, of course. But they were banking, pun intended on me being stupid. Unfortunately for them, I wasn't Emma. I clicked deny on the login attempt and locked my account down even harder. New passwords. Two-factor authentication. Notification, security alerts on every single transaction. Then I did what I do best. I waited. Not 5 minutes later, bang, bang, bang. Someone was pounding on my front door, like they were the police. I didn't even need to check the peephole. I knew exactly who it was. I took my time answering, sipped my coffee, made them wait. Then, finally, I swung the door open. And there they were, my parents. Wild-eyed, red-faced, completely unraveling. "You shut everything down," my stepmother shrieked, shoving past me into the house. Dad stormed in right after her. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I let them barge in. Let them think they had the upper hand for exactly 10 seconds before I turned around and folded my arms. "You tried to steal from me," I said calmly. Mom froze. Dad flinched.
What?
Mom snapped. "You heard me," I said, tilting my head. "I got the security alert this morning. You tried to log into my bank account."
That's our money, Dad barked.
I laughed, actually laughed. "No, it's my money, always has been." Mom clutched her chest like she was about to faint. "We raised you. You raised me," I cut in. "You tolerated me, big difference." Her face twisted. "How dare you?" "How dare I repeated, stepping closer. "You used me for years. You let me pay your rent, your utilities, your whole damn life. And the second I needed a little bit of love back, you kicked my children out of Christmas like they were trash." Mom's lips trembled. Dad's hands curled into fists. "You've made a huge mistake," he growled. "No, I finally made the right decision." I corrected my voice like steel. Mom snapped first. "Do you want us to die?" She shrieked, her voice cracking. "Is that what this is? You want us to be homeless?" She was screaming now, completely losing it, tears flying, like she had ever shed a single real tear for me in her life. And then, the fatal mistake. "You owe us," she spat. "You wouldn't even have that money if it weren't for us." And that was the moment I knew. They weren't just angry. They actually believed it. They genuinely thought my money, my success, my entire life was something they were entitled to. I took a slow, steady breath. And then I smiled. "Okay," I said simply. They froze. Dad narrowed his eyes. "Okay. Okay," I repeated. "You're right, I owe you." And then, right in front of them, I pulled out my phone. They watched in confused silence as I started tapping. Until Dad finally snapped, "What the hell are you doing?" I looked up, smirked. "Oh, just letting the bank know someone attempted fraud on my account." Mom paled. "Wait." And I continued filing a little police report because I do have proof it was you. Her hands flew to her mouth. Dad's face went purple. "You wouldn't," he whispered. I met his eyes, my smirk widening. "You sure about that?" And that's when my father did something I never expected. He lunged. I barely had time to react before my father lunged at me. For years, I had seen him as nothing more than a grumbling old man, a relic of his own bad choices. But in that split second, I saw something different. I saw who he really was. Entitled, desperate, and now cornered. His hands snatched from my phone, fingers clamping around my wrist with bruising force. "You little—" I didn't let him finish. My knee came up fast, right between his legs. The sound that came out of his mouth was not human. He crumpled like a cheap lawn chair, gasping, wheezing, while my stepmother screamed like someone had been murdered. "You monster!" she screeched, rushing to his side. "You attacked your own father." I stepped back, phone still in my grip, my pulse hammering. "Oh, I think the cops are gonna see that differently." I turned my screen toward her. The call had been live the whole time. 9:11, elapsed time, 2 minutes 47 seconds. Mom's face drained of color. I let out a slow, controlled breath. "Stay calm, stay in control." "Hi, yes," I said into the receiver, my voice steady as a rock. "I'd like to report an attempted robbery and assault. The suspect is still in my home." Dad groaned from the floor, still clutching himself. You're gonna regret this," he gasped. Mom was wild-eyed, gripping his shoulder like she could keep him from slipping into total ruin. "No," I said softly, watching them both fall apart. "I don't think I will." By the time the police arrived, my stepmother had flipped the script. "She's lying," she wailed as they cuffed my father. "She's been out to get us. We're her real family, and she wants us gone." One of the officers gave her a blank look. "Ma'am, we literally just heard your husband attack her on a live call." Dad was silent now, his head hanging low as they let him out. Mom lunged at me one last time. Her face was twisted, ugly with rage. You ungrateful little bitch, after everything we've done for you. I tilted my head, smiled. What exactly did you do for me? That stopped her cold, because she had no answer. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need one. The door slammed behind them, and I stood there, breathing in the quiet. For the first time in years, they were gone. But I wasn't done yet. No, I had one last thing to do. And when Emma found out, she was going to lose her fucking mind. The next morning I made one final call. Emma picked up on the first ring, her voice already dripping venom. What the hell did you do?
She hissed.
Mom is hysterical. Dad got arrested. They're saying it's your fault.
Oh, it is, I said cheerfully.
And guess what?
What? What?
She snapped. You're paying their bail. Dead silence. Then pure panic.
What?
You heard me, I said, stretching like I had the best night's sleep of my life. You're the biological daughter, right? Well, biological daughters don't let their parents rot in a holding cell. She sputtered, I don't have that kind of money. Damn, I sighed, fake sympathy dripping from my voice. Guess you better start figuring it out. She gasped like a fish out of water, flailing for an argument. But I didn't wait to hear it. I hung up. Then I turned off my phone. And as I stood in the middle of my quiet, peaceful house, with no more leeches, no more guilt, no more baggage, I did something I hadn't done in years. I smiled because for the first time in my life, I was free.